Right then guys, girls, just thought I'd share with you what I've been up to. I haven't really been doing too much just lately. Same old reasons. But what I have been up to is took me quite a long time. Not really been doing much, but it's been productive and it's worked, so I'm pretty chuffed. Now you'll all know I've kind of had a bit of a collection of Variacs. Got my 31 amp Zenith, 8 amp Variac, another 31 amp Zenith that's going to be stacked in that box there. We have a 5 amp Carolyn Maynell with rectifier and all sorts in there, and another, that one's actually a Regavolt. It's different age to that one, but exactly the same Variacs inside. And as you probably all know, I'm selling this one and I'm selling that other silver one. They're both 8 amps. But to replace the two that I'm selling, I've bought this one. Now I bought this off of a good friend. Basically I thought I'd do a little bit of modifications to it to make it easier for me to use. I know it's a little bit large. It's actually an 18 amp. I'll sort of show you the spec of it. It's an 18 amp. If you can see that, but it's actually a 20 amp when it's not enclosed. But obviously I'm going to keep it enclosed. So I'll hook you back on the tripod. Now basically what I've done to it is, bring you down a little bit, I have added on here a couple of connectors here and a couple of connectors here. Now these ones are dual purpose. They are voltage output. They are connected up. You probably noticed that these are extremely large banana plugs. They are 30 amp rated at 250 volts. They're not your normal standard speaker connections. And basically those ones are going to be for voltage reading. And also another little bit of a project I've got going is I've got this rectifier. I've got the 3 AC inputs, DC there. I've got a project box going for that, and I've got matching banana plugs. I'm going to have 3 blacks with a neutral, and a black and a red obviously for the negative and positive, and that's all going to be in a project box with a little heat sink in there that I got from a bro. So yeah, finally putting it to use, and basically that is going to be in a project box so that I can plug it straight into there and I can have DC. But also, as I said, I can do voltage measurements from it. Now this one is for reading amps. So basically you can either have leads in like this, go into a multimeter, and you can read it like that, or you can put a piece of wire in. As I say, these are really big connectors, and they've actually got 4mm holes, so they're not your normal sort of standard type. And put a bit of wire in there, link the two together. Now for the Variac to work, you've always got to have something, either an ammeter or that piece of wire in. But the nice thing about this piece of wire is if you've got a clamp meter, you can just stick your clamp meter around there and get a good amps reading. So you know how much power you're drawing. Now because it's 20 amp Variac, the inrush current is quite high, so it trips out my 16 amp breaker that I've got my plugs running on, even though the house is actually running the sockets on a 32 amp breaker. So if I plug that in downstairs or on the hallway, it wouldn't trip, but because I'm plugging it into the 16 amp socket, it will trip. So, yep, you guessed it, the only way I can turn it on up here at the moment is to run it through the Variac. So what I'm going to do is just quickly show you how it all works. I've got it hooked up to a kettle, so I've actually got a load on it. So I'm going to start off by plugging the Variac in. I'm going to turn that up to 240 volts. So this has now got a supply to it, and if these don't stay on for very long, I don't want it to hold, I want my light to come on. Right, that one's reading volts, this one's reading amps. So as you can see, turn it up, and the light's gone out. I think you can probably still manage to see that, I'm not sure. Now you can hear it humming. The reason it is humming is because it's running from that other Variac and it doesn't really like it. But as you can see, 154 volts, 154.7, right? Yeah, 154.7. Bit fluctuating there, but as I say, it is running off another Variac. And you've got the 8.22 amps, and yeah, I could crank that right round and the kettle will start boiling, and now it doesn't mind actually doing it, so the Variac stopped humming, but now the kettle's making that noise. Now I can hear you guys saying, right, so you just pulled 12 amps off of that Variac. Yes, it's an 18 amp Variac, so it can handle it fine. But I'm running it off of an 8 amp Variac. I can hear you all screaming at me. This is pulling 12 amps. Well, the kettle is pulling 12 amps from this. That's fine. The amps that it's being pulled from the Variac is not as much as what is being used. Okay, so actually, it's not really an issue. And plus, those Variacs, although they're 8 amp, they can run at 16 amp quite happily for 5 minutes. Or actually, I think it's for 10 minutes actually, according to the data sheet. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys, and quite a handy little thing to have. Sort of set up just for voltage readings, as I say, DC output, and so you can get a good ampage reading. If you don't want to use a clamp meter, if you don't want to use a normal multimeter like these ones here, you can use a clamp meter. Just have the piece of wire in those banana sockets and just stick your clamp around there, and you've got a reading. So I think that's about it. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, please comment, like, and all the other stuff, and thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it.